and sees a junk man walking by. He goes, hey buddy, give me $200. I'll sell you this mine and all the equipment. I'm going back home to Maryland. Well, the junk man, realizing the equipment was worth thousands because the family chipped in, said, I'll give you $200. Darby goes home defeated. But the junk man goes to a local engineer, someone who has expertise outside his own, and says, what happened? This Darby character hit gold and ran out. The engineer starts laughing and he goes, that's mining 101. Everyone knows that gold runs in a straight line. It's called a gold vein. What Darby did is he came in one side, hit the gold, and he popped back into dirt. He goes, just go back to where they discovered treasure, go 90 degrees, just 3 feet the opposite direction, and you'll tap back into the vein. Not only did he pull millions of dollars out, but that's what fills Fort Knox today. And the moral is, how many times have we or someone we know quit one class short from a degree or sales or marketing, whatever. Seems like most people give up right before the miracle happens, right before the finish line. So I went on a mission to meet today's top trendsetters to find out what they did to persevere. The first interview was a guy named Dave Lineker. Now, you might not know his name, but you'll know his business. Exactly. I said, what was it like getting started? And he goes, it was horrible. He goes, all the money ran out, investment, I was broke. He says, for 2 years, every phone call that came in was from a bill collector. He goes, imagine that. Every time the phone would ring, I'd run across the hall and pick it up so my secretary wasn't put on the spot. The third year, they threw me in jail, calling me a liar and a fraud. I said, what'd you do? He says, I took my attitude from trying to prove the world wrong to something more important than just prove myself right. He said, I had the courage and the fortitude to pick up that phone. They called the bill collector and said, hey, I don't got that money I owe you, I'm sorry. I don't got 50 grand, but I got 50 bucks. I'll send it to you with a promise that I'm not going to quit. Don't give up on me. He says, I called every bill collector every year until finally the 4th year rolled around. Someone believed in me, bought the first business, and that's Rematch International. He says, I'm nothing. He goes, but how many people's lives were changed because I wouldn't quit? And how do we know that someone in this room isn't about to give up on their own dream? Because Visa was calling them on the way in. From there, I got to go face to face with everyone from the inventor of the elevator to space to the creator of string theory. From Miss America to Mrs. Fields Cookies, from the president of NASCAR to all the top leaders. And I kept asking them over and over, why didn't you quit? Why didn't you quit? And the common theme that kept coming over was this. They found something called their knowing. Not their hope, not their wish, not their belief, but what they knew in their heart to be true. I remember Ya Ling right here in San Diego, the symphony. I asked him, I said, did you ever want to quit? He goes, every day of my life. I said, why didn't you? And he goes, because I knew I shouldn't. But as a kid, they gave me a basketball. I sat it down and I went to the piano because I knew I should be playing. And he says, you know what? By following what I knew, here we are today, changing lives and inspiring people across the globe. He goes, where could you be in your own world if you followed something that you knew in your heart to be true, rather than something that you were hoping for? And I thought it was very interesting because it's the same thing. Most businesses, as we know, fail 85% the first year. And this is the reason why. Because there's a difference between commitment and interest. See, if you're interested in something, you might give up when the going gets tough. When you're committed, you'll see it through. The same way as if I open a brand new trendy restaurant downtown and it's a cool thing to do, as soon as things hit the fan, I'm out the door. But if I take over the family Italian restaurant that's been around for 8 generations, as soon as there's challenges, I gotta stick it out because I gotta pass it on to my kid. The realities are more people could find their own knowing. Could you imagine the greatness that could come from within? From there, I got to go face to face. One of my favorite ones was his name's John Schwartz, the guy who actually created string theory. If you guys ever see Discovery Channel, it's how everything is interwoven. So when I'm done and you're giving me a standing ovation, right? And you feel that energy, right? You feel that? You ever go to a Charger game and everyone's honk, and you feel all that? Well, that's because everything's one. He says, but for 10 years, everyone said he was crazy. He was out of his mind. He says, if Albert Einstein couldn't figure that theory out, what makes you think you can do it? And finally, 10 years goes by, and Dr. Michael Green proves his theory to be most accurate, and now John Schwartz is the father of string theory. And I asked him, why wouldn't you quit for 10 years when everyone said you were crazy? When everyone said you were wrong? He looks at me and says, I knew I was right. And he said the greatest bit of insight ever. So here's my one takeaway from this entire talk. He said successful people seek counsel where failures listen to opinion. I said, what's the difference? He goes, opinion is based on ignorance, lack of knowledge, inexperience. They've never done it. Where counsel is based on wisdom, knowledge, mentorship. They've already paved the way. Because if you go to someone who's never written a book before, like a family friend, and say, I'm going to write one, they're going to say, you can't do that. Why not? I don't know. You just can't. Well, that's their opinion. They don't know. If I go to Mark Victor Hansen, who wrote Chicken Soup, and say I'm going to write a book, he'll say, great. Before you get started, here's what you need to know, and give me what? Counsel. Based on wisdom, knowledge, mentorship. John Schwartz said, if we would spend our daily lives only seeking counsel and ignoring people's opinions, that's the day your life will change. But the big question is, where do you seek that counsel? Where do you build these relationships? The question is, if you had an opportunity to go with me to meet these amazing people, would you have shown up?
Yeah.
I invited over 300 people, and only 3 people ever showed up for a
What?
That's it. So many people are given a golden opportunity, but they let all the excuses stop. It's funny, I do this private event here in San Diego. It's called Secret Knock. You might have heard of it before. There's no email, website, phone number. You just can't go. You got to be invited. That's the way it works. And we have a screening process. And the whole idea is that I started bringing in all these people that are interviewed so you could go face to face. You could hang out. You could build a relationship. We just started charging a bunch of money to see who'd show up. And sure enough, it started having a great little following because people wanted an opportunity to go. But you know what? Until I made it skin in the game, like people had to do something to jump through a couple hoops, no one would do it. If I just made it free and say, hey, come with me and I'm going to let you go meet the president of NASCAR, no one showed up. But the moment I said, hey, there's a price tag and you got to jump through hoops, everyone wanted to play. Isn't that funny? But by doing that, I started building an alliance, an allegiance of the most cool, positive, like-minded people that were willing to take action. And what happened is we started making our own masterminds, and now that's how all these opportunities are coming to be. It's kind of interesting, going along this quest, one of my favorite interviews I did was, remember when Napoleon Hill was never paid a penny, right, and Think and Grow Rich? Well, when they asked me to do this, they said it would be very appropriate to pay me that same wage. I got nothing. So I'm the first guy in San Diego to actually short and sell my house in Del Mar. I turned my 2 Mercedes-Benz voluntary repoed. I hocked my Rolex watch. I went all in. And I realized I could always get my stuff back, but would I ever have this opportunity? And for all these years, I went face to face, but I started getting down on myself. And there's an old saying that says, the older we get, the better we used to be. You ever heard that one? Here's another one. The poorer we get, the richer we used to be.